Hi folks, we're back again to cover some information post Newburyport drag dance. You'll want to watch to the end because there's some new evidence that backs up a May 17th blog post from the Massachusetts Family Institute regarding what actually happened at this dance. The drag dance, as you'll remember, happened in Newburyport on May 13th, 2022 with the drag queen Ms. Wigfall. And some of you may think, well, geez, this is many weeks after, like why bother? Well, it's still important to know what happened because we know that these events will continue, especially in blue states. And it's still important to put a spotlight on this information because we know the local media outlets will not talk about it, just as I showed in the previous two videos. They leave out major components of what the real issue is. They sweep over major details or they just don't discuss them at all. If you are living in another state, this information is still important because it will help you to see how events may unfold in your area and what to look out for. So let's begin. Here are a couple photos from the welcome wall that formed before the dance. So these people either do not know about Wigfall's Instagram images and videos, or they do know and they're supporting this notion of it's okay for adult performers to host events for children as long as they don't do adult acts at the event. You have to wonder, will Stormy Daniels be the next entertainer to serve up ice cream to the kids at another teen event? So just as a side note, I will be referring to Newburyport Youth Services as NYS in this video. Let's go to some post coverage of this dance. Newburyport Daily News by Dave Rogers. May 23rd, organizers call Newburyport teen dance featuring drag queen a success. Organizers of the recent teen dance featuring a drag queen DJ are praising how well the event went, despite a maelstrom of controversy that followed it as local parents and people hours away from the city said that the dance should never have happened. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt here. That statement is not true, and I proved that in the previous two videos on this subject. They never said the dance shouldn't have happened. It had to do with the controversy of Ms. Wigfall and the material that was on his Instagram. That statement is incorrect. The quote, "Over the Rainbow Dance," co-sponsored by Newburyport Youth Services and the North Shore Alliance for LGBT Youth in Salem, featured drag queen performer Ms. Wigfall and drew more than 100 people on May 13th. Quote, "We expected about 30 people to attend. Instead, about 100 high school age teens and adults gathered in a warm and supporting environment." So there are some points I want to make here about this article. What is the criteria for a successful dance? It seems, according to this article, it's a numbers game, right? So they were saying they were only expecting 30 kids. The 30 kids they're speaking of, is that Newburyport kids? Because what they're leaving out of this article was that Newburyport bussed in kids from Salem. And here is the post from Nagley on their Instagram account that is giving instructions on how to pick up the bus in Salem to come 45 minutes away to Newburyport. So this article just leaves more questions for everyone, and we're just asking questions here, right? So why were kids bussed in? This wasn't offered to local areas like Salisbury or Amesbury. It was offered to Salem. Is that because Nagley has an office in Salem and they have an office in Newburyport? And you're saying that you were only expecting 30 kids, so were the kids that were bussed in from Salem, were those the other 70 that you needed to prop up your numbers so it looked like you had a high head count for this dance? I wanted to show this post as well. This is from the Nagley North Instagram account. They posted a random pan of the attendees at the dance, and we've been hearing numbers of 100, and this just seems like a very shallow pool here. I understand kids can be dispersed throughout the building, and it just may have been at the time they took this video. Just something to take note of. And the other point I want to make, there is no mention of how Wigfall played a particular game with the kids at this dance, and it was about eating a cupcake creatively. There was no talk about this at all in this article, but I will show evidence of that later on in this video. If you remember part 2 of the drag dance coverage on this channel, I showed the article from the Epoch Times on May 1st, 2022, where they quoted Andi Egmont, who is the director of NYS, as stating that Wigfall's function at the dance was going to be as a DJ and to run some games for the kids, and that nothing adult in nature was going to happen. So let's now go over to the NYS Facebook page, and I want to show you this video that was shot at the dance, and it has Wigfall talking to the kids.
365 days of the year. Yeah, cheer for that. And I think it's important that we don't just take one month, that we celebrate queer people all the time and make sure that we're, supporting places like NAGLY that are making sure that you guys can have events all year round, because that's what you guys deserve. You deserve to have this dance.
Now, according to the Massachusetts Family Institute website, they had an eyewitness account, someone who was at the dance who saw this, and they said that after this video was shot was when the cupcake game started, right after this video. So let's now go over to the Massachusetts Family Institute website, and I'm going to read some excerpts from this blog post regarding the dance. I will leave a link in the description box below this video because I think this is an important blog post to read. They talk about some suspicious people hanging around outside the dance, but this is the part here I want to go directly to because it links into the video clip I just showed. Inside the Masonic Hall where the event was held, there were signs asking that cell phone use be limited, quote, for the safety and comfort of all attendees to be themselves. What that video didn't show was how Wigfall, whose real name is AJ Parker, took a break from his performance to lead the students in a game. Quote, I need 5 people who are willing to work, he announced. We're going to play a little game called Sissy That Cupcake. I'm going to find 5 contestants. Parker then went on to explain that after walking across the hall towards him, the teen would be rewarded with a cupcake, but that they had to, quote, eat it creatively. This was said in a manner that evoked sexual innuendo, which the students, to their credit, ignored. However, as disturbing as it is that Parker would even suggest this, the terms sissy and work often have explicitly sexual connotations in the drag or trans context. For example, work was originally derived from the words work and twerk. Sissy, on the other hand, when used as a verb, is to take something and make it effeminate, often in a sexually degrading way. For example, RuPaul's Drag Race popularized the phrase, sissy that walk, which you can see here. However, there is a much darker side to this sissy or sissification concept, which is a, quote, practice in dominance and submission or kink subcultures involving reversal of gender roles and making a submissive male take on a feminine role. But whatever sexual deviance was on display or being suggested to high schoolers, we are not supposed to question it or raise objections. Parents who complained on social media prior to the event were ruthlessly attacked online and dismissed as, quote, transphobic by supporters of the city's decision to host a drag show for local youth. NYS continues to claim that the event was, quote, totally age appropriate. That's a disturbing perspective coming from adults who are charged with serving children. Whether the people at NYS are intentionally lying to parents or just deceiving themselves, some of the kids understand exactly what was going on. So according to this blog post, the demographic of this dance was mostly underclassmen that were there. So let me continue on here. As a teen who attended the event observed, quote, the entire thing seemed to be an attempt to desensitize these young high schoolers to drag and adult sexuality in small doses to make it seem condonable. It was just enough without being too vulgar to take what was inappropriate and make it seem like it was an okay and normal thing for these kids to watch. It seemed unnecessary to have a drag queen be the DJ and that it was just an excuse to sexualize minors because any non-drag DJ would have helped with the event. So there are a couple points I want to make while I was reading that blog post. A couple things came to mind. Wigfall is going to be 29 years old, I believe, this year. So he's pushing 30. He's doing a gig with underclassmen ages 14 to 16 mostly. He's also very much aware that parents were concerned about any type of sexual innuendo coming into the event because they're familiar with many drag shows and how the entire drag show at a nightclub is a lot of sexual jokes, a lot of sexual innuendo. So he understood that parents were concerned about that. And he disregarded all of it. He decided to come in. Out of all the games he could have selected, he decided to play a game called Sissy That Cupcake, where you eat a cupcake creatively. So let's just say that the kids at the dance, when he told them to eat the cupcake creatively, let's just say it went over their head, okay? Let's just say that maybe they didn't know what that could possibly mean, that it could possibly have any type of sexual innuendo, any type of meaning at all. The fact is, though, he's almost 30 years old. So he is well aware that that can have a type of sexual connotation to it. And the other part that I think is particularly upsetting is that he is okay with being in a room full of 14 to 16-year-old kids watching them eat a cupcake creatively. He's actually okay with that in that moment of being in the room and watching that. I would think for most people, even if you were a chaperone at that dance, that even if you happen to look over at that moment and you're seeing kids do this, it would make you feel like your stomach's going to turn. I mean, obviously they're not balancing the cupcake on their nose like a seal or putting it on top of their head. They're eating a cupcake creatively. And as adults, we know that that can have a wide range of meaning, and often that meaning is of a sexual nature. If you've made it this far into the video, I want to thank you for watching. I'm sure there are some naysayers out there who think that maybe the eyewitness from the Massachusetts Family Institute blog just made up a story. Maybe Wigfall did not play any type of Sissy That Cupcake game after all. Maybe they just totally made up the story. Well, what I'm about to play for you next, there is some audio from the night of the dance. And although it's unintelligible at times, the major parts of the audio are loud and clear. And it confirms that, yes, Wigfall did in fact play Sissy That Cupcake the night of the dance.
Your mom has come. It's the cupcake. What are you going to do with it? Where?